HOA ordered fence removal on 40-acre rural property. A sheriff arrival shifted control. Have you ever had someone tell you what you can and can't do on your own land? My name is Ethan Walker, and I own a quiet 40-acre property just outside a small rural town. My wife and I bought it 10 years ago because we wanted privacy, open space, and a peaceful place to raise our horses. We built a modest farmhouse, planted trees, and installed a sturdy wooden fence around our property, not to keep people out, but to protect our livestock and clearly mark our boundary. 4 years, life was peaceful. That changed when a new homeowners association took over management of a nearby subdivision. Although my land was never part of the HOA, their new board seemed convinced they could control everything around them. At first, it started with letters. One claimed my fence didn't meet the community appearance standards. Another insisted I repaint the fence white instead of its natural cedar finish. I ignored them because the notices had nothing to do with my property. Then the certified letter arrived. It stated I had 30 days to remove my entire fence or face daily fines and legal action. I laughed. Then I looked closer. The letter was signed by the HOA president and their attorney. Apparently, they believed part of my fence crossed into an easement connected to their subdivision. The problem? That easement ended nearly a quarter-mile away. They had mistaken an old survey map for the current property records. I called the HOA office. The president confidently told me, "Whether you agree or not, we'll have the fence removed." I calmly replied, "You may want to verify who owns the land first." She simply hung up. A week later, I noticed several workers measuring sections of my fence from the road. The next morning, orange utility flags appeared along my fence line. No one had asked for permission. That's when I contacted a licensed land surveyor. Within 3 days, he completed a modern GPS survey using county records and official monuments. His report couldn't have been clearer. Every single section of my fence sat entirely inside my own property. Not 1 inch crossed into the HOA subdivision. I emailed the survey to the HOA. No response. Instead, 2 days later, a contractor arrived with equipment to begin removing fence posts. I drove over immediately. "Stop," I said. "You don't have permission to be here." The contractor looked uncomfortable. "The HOA hired us." I handed him a copy of the survey. He read it carefully. Then he looked back toward the road. "I think I need to make a phone call." Minutes later, the HOA president pulled up in a luxury SUV. She stepped out holding a stack of papers. "This fence violates our community plan." I shook my head. "My property isn't part of your community." She insisted her attorney had approved everything. I pointed toward the survey stakes. "The county disagrees." The argument grew louder. Several neighbors gathered near the roadside to watch. Then someone called the sheriff's office. About 20 minutes later, a sheriff's patrol truck arrived. The deputy introduced himself to everyone before asking a simple question. "Who owns this property?" The HOA president immediately began explaining subdivision maps, easements, and architectural standards. The deputy listened patiently. Then he turned to me. I handed him my deed, the certified survey, the county parcel map, and copies of the HOA letters. He spent several minutes reviewing every document. Then he walked the fence line himself. He checked the survey markers, compared them to the county map, and returned to the group. His conclusion was short and clear. The fence is entirely on private property. The HOA president interrupted. "But our attorney..." The deputy raised his hand. "I'm only concerned with property ownership." He then looked at the contractor. "If you remove this fence without the owner's permission, you could expose yourself to civil liability." The contractor didn't hesitate. He packed up his equipment immediately. The HOA president became visibly frustrated. She demanded the sheriff force me to remove the fence. Instead, the deputy calmly explained that the sheriff's office doesn't enforce HOA rules on property that isn't part of the association. He also reminded everyone that property disputes should be resolved through proper legal channels, not by entering someone else's land without permission. The entire situation shifted in a matter of minutes. The workers left, the equipment disappeared, and my fence remained exactly where it had always been. A few weeks later, I received a letter from the HOA. This one was different. Instead of demanding removal, it simply requested a meeting to discuss future communication. My attorney advised me to respond in writing. We agreed to cooperate regarding shared road access, but made it clear that my property remained independent and outside HOA authority. The county later updated its public mapping records to eliminate confusion about the old easement. Survey markers were permanently documented. Future contractors would now have accurate information before beginning any work. Life slowly returned to normal. Our horses continued grazing peacefully behind the same cedar fence. Neighbors stopped by occasionally, not to argue, but to compliment how well the property had been maintained. Looking back, I realized the dispute was never really about a fence. It was about understanding property boundaries, respecting legal ownership, and verifying fact before taking action. The sheriff didn't choose sides. He simply relied on the official records. And in the end, accurate documents, not assumptions, made all the difference. Sometimes, protecting your property doesn't require raising your voice. It simply requires knowing your rights, keeping good records, and letting the facts speak for themselves.